I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Hathor, Isis, Diana, Mami Ishtar, Kali, Mammy, and Mother Mary. Well, welcome to Great Mother Speaks. I'm Tammy Taylor, your manifestation muse, and today,
you know, when you're learning an entirely different culture and you don't speak the language, there's a surrender to knowing there's a limitation to how much you're going to actually be able to absorb. Because the nature of learning and the authenticity of integrating the information is compromised. And so as a result, you just make a truce with yourself that I'm going to get out of this what I need to get out of this. And that is the truth that I've made with myself with Vedic astrology. And so I say that because it's timely with this Pisces full moon in Shatabisha Nakshatra. I always remember Shatabisha Nakshatra because Nakshatra, see, there we go. It's different culture, different language, and, you know, struggling to pronounce and everything. But Spirit always gives us what we need. And what I need is to remember the essential elemental truth of these constellations. There are 27 of them. Shatabisha is at the end of Aquarius and the beginning of Pisces. And so we're in a Pisces full moon in both the Western and the Vedic. But it's important in the Vedic to look at the nakshatras, particularly when we are talking about the moon. It's a lunar astrology, and these are lunar-based constellations. I always remember Shatabisha because when I first heard it, it sounded to me like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, those of you who are raised in the Baptist tradition like I was, you might recall who they are. They were the three wise brothers who would not bow down to the king of Babylon. And they were rewarded as a result. This is a great planetary fear at this time, to stand in one's truth of their divinity. And this nakshatra is such a powerful one because it speaks to the reward for doing so. And if you recall, you know, they ended up being really high respected officials of Babylon because their God was leading them through all the trials and tribulations of not bowing down to this king. And everybody was like, what? He's going to kill you. He threw them into a fiery furnace. You know, he didn't just throw them in jail, or he didn't just, have a death sentence where they were killed in some, way, that everybody could watch and be, even put on a cross like Jesus Christ. He threw them in a furnace, and Jesus came and walked them out. And so, all of this, we understand as mythology because we are so deep into what Great Mother says is and in translation from the Vedas too, is called, the sea of forgetfulness. It is not a judgment or condemnation. We came into this world for a reason. We are under the veil of forgetfulness for a reason. Forgetfulness of what? Of our divinity, in order for us to learn how to use our power. As a good parent, you give your child, a little leash, a little bit at a time, as they demonstrate their ability to maintain their lives. As long as they're safe, well, then we can loosen up a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And that's how we grow. It's the same thing with us, as above, so below. So this nakshatra is all about feeling that power. And we're in an age where we're being so blessed with so many powerful downloads that if you are not in tune with your divinity, it's freaking people out. And so they're using it in different ways. For example, we were talking about an MDT support group about how all of the mass murders and things that are going on, it's it's really about a confusion that people are having internally. It has nothing to do with the external world. That's our first impulse, is to externalize everything that's happening. Oh, it's because of this, it's because of politics, it's because of that. No, 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 no. All war begins within. And the inner war is, as Great Mother, through the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck, guides us through a rebirth and a regeneration of our divinity, through the release of MDT identity, the shame, blame, and guilt of the abandonment and abuse of our birth mothers. We have to, as individuals, undergo this internal rebirth. And what is rebirth? Rebirth is a death of the old self. And so just like everything else, instead of sitting with that, we go into addiction, which is just another word for pain avoidance. We go into drug addiction, sex addiction, or just addiction to trying to control others, which the ultimate expression of that is murderous behavior, whether it is through the spoken word or through action, which we can also use as a very powerful, loving tool, action and the spoken word, to uplift and to encourage through the signs and symbols, just as the signs and symbols through this Vedic astrology, whether I understand Hindu or I understand Sanskrit or not, Spirit is going to give me what it needs to give me in order to use me as a vehicle to speak to whoever needs to hear what it's saying. For those who do want to go through this rebirthing process and going through the fire, as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did, they had to prove to themselves that they were worthy to rule Babylon. They were just humble believers in God. And that's what is meant by the meek shall inherit the earth. The humility goes through an experience of gaining the wisdom of knowing that it has a value to the world. And that's what this transition from the Piscean age of the Christ consciousness into the Aquarian age, which is about embodying the Christ consciousness as individuals. We live Christ consciousness as individuals. We live what he taught as individuals. In other words, we dance to the beat of our own drum, just like he did. He just showed us an example of how he did it, how he embraced his divinity and believed in his God, despite the what they call them, the Sadducees, the Pharisees and the Sadducees were against him. The high priests were against him and his teaching of the great Father. And so we are coming into that, and Great Mother, Father God are injecting us and the planet with the power to do it. But if we don't know what we're being injected with, we are interpreting it as fear, because we are so filled with fear due to this sea of forgetfulness that we're in, that has got us in this addiction to external manifestation of Great Mother, Father God, as opposed to the internal. So this is all about us connecting with that during this season. The full moon is in Pisces in both the Western and in the Vedic astrology. And as we know, Pisces is the teetering, tottering slope that we walk between delusion and enlightenment, between self-deception and self-awareness. The Leo new moon, Great Mother did an extended introduction about what this season leading up to January 2020 is all about. So if you want to check that out, there is a link in the information box below. This full moon, Great Mother wants to bring our attention to the Vedic aspect of this season with this full moon in Pisces, in the Vedic and in the Western. Now, what's interesting is that in the Vedic astrology, Neptune, as opposed to in the Western astrology, being in Pisces at this time, creating a great deal of delusionment and difficulty with that dance, with awareness. In the soul astrology, are the cosmic astrology as opposed to the geocentric, earth-centric ego astrology that is basically the tropical astrology that's focused on our egoic experience, our ego reaction to life. In the soul astrology, we're actually looking at how, why, when, and for what purpose the soul incarnated. Neptune here is in Aquarius, and so this period of time has to do with what the collective consciousness is undergoing in terms of its internal dance between illusion and awareness around humanity, around what it wants to collectively contribute on a soul level to this transitional phase between the Piscean age and the Aquarian age. This is why this particular period is so intense. So what Great Mother wants to focus on in this introduction to your full moon Pisces reading is the idea that you, from a soul perspective, are looking toward the future at this particular time, or you're looking in the past at this particular time, at yourself, at your experience at this particular time. And you're either saying, wow, I am really living up to my greatest soul potential at this time to free myself from the bondage, from the attachment to forgetfulness of my divinity, forgetfulness of my soul essence, forgetfulness of my birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. I am releasing myself from that forgetfulness. I'm doing my level best as a conscious being to do that. Or I am overwhelmed by the challenges of doing that. And either way, Great Mother is inviting us to receive the eternal grace and mercy that is available to us, particularly as the planet is experiencing the disorder of mama drama trauma, which this channel focuses on to heal. Mama drama trauma being that condition in which the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto the child, causing emotional and or physical trauma. And in cases where she's unwilling, unable, and unavailable, she may have transitioned to heal her own MDT. Loving detachment is necessary for the child to live a happy, healthy, and whole life. In other words, for us to fully embrace our birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. Living in loving detachment is necessary to do that. So the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck was channeled for us to have a daily practice of releasing ourselves from that bondage of attachment to the toxic mama experience, the forgetfulness that the drama engenders about our divinity, and the trauma that we experience as a result, the dissociative experience from our soul that keeps us in bondage. So the opportunity this full moon is to, from the tropical perspective, look at the harvest of the year. This has been a very intense year with Saturn and Jupiter in retrograde and the eclipses that we've had in the most powerful in Vedic astrology nodal position of Gemini in the North Node and Sagittarius in the South, because it has to do with that human intelligence of the ego in the North Node evolving through awareness and the release of old attachments to old ways of connecting with the divinity, with that Sagittarius in the South, based on experience. Wisdom is based on experience, what we learn through our own experience, as opposed to the intelligence of Mercury, which rules Gemini, that is based on an ability, an ego ability to figure things out. And so they work well together when understood. But when wisdom is held as the greater virtue, then we actually are evolving. We actually are growing. And so with Sagittarius being in the South Node, conjunct Saturn, conjunct Pluto, we have this opportunity to do a tremendous amount of release of old spiritual beliefs and practices that no longer work for us, such as toxic beliefs about sin, the idea that we are separate from God. That is a very old religious teaching. And it no longer serves us as we move into an Aquarian age that is about being very clear about our divinity. Now, speaking of clarity about divinity, not everyone survives deity initiation. And that is what we're talking about. Let us be clear. We are talking about divinity initiation, an initiation into a conscious ego-soul alignment. So this full moon is an illumination with regard to where you are with that. Great Mother wants you to be very clear about where you are in relationship to that, in relationship to your soul and what your soul wants to do at this particular time about that in your life as it relates to mama drama trauma, the foundation of all relationships in your life. In our relationships, just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, who is the poster child of mama drama trauma, each card is based on a scene in the Wizard of Oz. Along that yellow brick road journey, that hero's journey to embracing our divinity, that journey, that rites of passage to deity initiation. Because, of course, when we return home, we return to peace. We return to our true self. So this return to self requires a rebirth. It requires this dark night of the soul, which for us, being mama drama trauma, most of the planet, most people won't admit it. It is a taboo subject. But during the Aquarian age, it will become more and more prominent as an issue to be addressed. There's a reason there's an increase in suicides. There's a reason there's an increase in drug addiction. All of these are just forms of pain avoidance. And this is what is meant by not everyone survives deity initiation. Many people do not believe because they do not know that they're divine beings. They think because of the attachment to forgetfulness, attachment to the illusion of this experience, and we incarnate into this material experience in order to have the veil over our eyes, as Dorothy had the veil, the believing that Oz was the god of all gods, until she took the witch's broom, which taught her that she had the power to take her power back from an idea of an externalized God. Great Mother, Father, God is us, within us. And this is a scary thought for a culture from a planetary collective consciousness that believes it's separate from God. That's a scary thought, let alone something to integrate into one's consciousness. So we are what the Christ called a peculiar people. We know that we are in this world, but we are not of it. And so this is a little spoken word that is payment and homage to what Great Mother is inviting us to do in terms of looking at this placement of where we are. Consciousness ascends and consciousness, it forgets. We evolve. The Kundalini awakens and the Kundalini goes to sleep. We are living, breathing beings who we have periods of active conscious awareness and growth and periods of rest and fallowness, just like the soil. So that's why we learn first and foremost about our divinity identity, that we are dearly loved children of the great Mother, Father, God, who are never judged, condemned for that. Because just like the seasons, that's just like saying, in the Northern Hemisphere, we're, slowly moving into fall, although the planet is heating up and is on fire and all of these things that are happening because of our forgetfulness. There's no judgment or condemnation. There is awareness. There's a difference. And it's a very important distinction to make. There is awareness that what we're doing is either fortifying the experience of our divinity or it is detracting from it. And we get to make the free will choice. Some say, and particularly in Vedic astrology, that we do not have free will. But it is said within the context, I would hope, I understand the belief of no free will within the context of we are given the choice in our experience. We get to experience making choices so that we know if we choose to go into the direction of what does not reinforce our divinity, such as burning down the rainforest and therefore setting our entire environmental equilibrium off, is not beneficial. We get to experience that so that we learn it. Again, wisdom being the hallmark of divinity. We learn through experience, which is why we're not judged or condemned. It doesn't make sense to believe in a God that judges and condemns you for coming here to have experience. How can you have experience if you don't get to choose? So in this life, we do get to choose. It's just that in the arc of eternity, there is just one consciousness, and that is the consciousness of love. And that is what they're talking about. And since it's difficult for most people to even grasp what is being discussed here, they just go ahead and jump to the end of the story that there is no free will. It's all, love. But step by step, yes, within lifetimes, that's how we gain experience. That's how we gain wisdom about what love is. We have to learn it through experience. Great Mother's inviting us to recognize at this particular stage in our lives with this Pisces full moon in both the Western and in the Vedic, what we are choosing. Are we choosing to go away from our divinity, feeling and experiencing being dearly loved, never judged or condemned, or left alone? Or are we continuing to engender those experiences, such as mama drama trauma, in particular here with your full moon reading, that you are detracting from that experience? Which one is it? Because within this season, there are a lot of transits that are being discussed. And one specifically with the Vedic, just like Great Mother in her extended introduction, with the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in the Western astrology that has captured the imagination of astrologers. In the Vedic astrology, we are having the Gemini move from Purnavasu into Ardra Nakshatra, and we're having Sagittarius move into Mula, which is the center of the cosmos. It's the nakshatra that is the center. It's the heart, the cosmic heart of the cosmos. It is Great Mother. It is the primordial womb. And so the primordial womb is going to receive for us what we are willing, ready, and able to release. And so that's why Great Mother is wanting us to know at this particular time, those of us who are working with releasing mama drama trauma, the blame, shame, and guilt, feeling the cause, feeling that we can cure, feeling that somehow we can control mama drama trauma, and releasing all of that dysfunction is going to be tremendously supported, especially as we have in November Jupiter moving into Sagittarius as well. So lots and lots of cosmic support for us. The spoken word that I would like to share with you is this: child, mother, father, teacher, parent, scholar, a pence, a pound, a dollar, a month, a day, an hour. Years, decades, scores. Work, hobbies, chores. A house, a window, a door. Beginning, middle, end. Whole, half, empty. Physiology, biology, anatomy. Plant, seed, soil. Sun, rain, earth. The planetary galactic search. Olmec, Toltec, Aztec, Cholula, Pyramid, Sphinx. Ego, soul, spirit, the initiation, communication, conduit. Maya 2012, the whole world, into it. Crazy, sane, normal, casual, everyday, formal. The known, unknown, and unknowable. Mystery, intrigue, certainty. Past, present, future. Galaxy, planet, light year. Stellar procession, sacred. Man, woman, offspring. Bound, insecure, free. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Night, noon, morning. Sacred, science, faith. Time, space, location. You are blessed, wanted, needed. Breathe, inspire, intention, purpose, reason. Cave, hut, house. Master, worker, slave. Moon, stars, sun. 3, 2, 1. Eternal divine self. Present, future, past. First, late, last. Dawn, day, sunset. And these are your Pisces. Shatabisha full moon readings. Taurus moon sign people, this energy for you is 11th house, Pisces full moon. So I'm seeing 3 law cards in a 15 card spread with 6 chakras, actually 7 chakras. The law cards are actually 7th chakra cards. So the 7th chakra is very active here. You also have 5th chakra activity. You have 3 cards here in the 5th chakra. And I'm seeing 3 heart below chakra cards. So, actually you have 4 5th chakra. That's what I love about this. The colors just jump out and show you what's active. And so you have Hecate, Baba Yaga, Sphinx, Brigade, 5th chakra cards. That's the dominant energy. So your dominant energy this full moon is speaking and being your truth. That's 5th chakra energy. And your shadow position is gut chakra energy. And so you're processing. You may not realize that you're doing a lot of emotional processing right now. Or you realize that and it hasn't been something that you've shared with others, either as a conscious decision, most likely an unconscious decision. Not to share it with others. It's not such a big deal with Lilith in the shadow position because it's personal power. Your personal power, your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. You're processing that. It's in your shadow position. You may not be real clear about what that is right now because it's changing. It's changing with this Pisces full moon for you in relationship to others. And your soul group in terms of tribe, your soul tribe. There's the birth tribe, of course, with MDT we talk about that and the disorder that produces in the birth family. It's a family cycle, it's a family dysfunction, which we perpetuate in our relationships with others. Particularly networking and organizations, we tend to be attracted to that. But as you're consciously working with MDT as you are, what tends to happen is that we create new, more healthy relationships. And so that's what you're doing. And you're asserting your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. But because things are changing at this particular time in the collective unconsciousness with Gemini in Rahu and Sagittarius in Ketu, these are energies that are affecting your second and eighth houses. So eighth house is death and rebirth. You're redefining your personal power, Taurus moon sign people. And it's a feeling of being at a crossroads for you right now with this Hekate energy, this fifth chakra energy. You're planting new seeds. It's not, kind of the aggressive taking initiation to build networks. Although for some of you it may be to build new relationships. It's more kind of anticipating what your new associations will be and trying to hold on to what you have earned in terms of your understanding about your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole, and not lose ground. That's the crossroads that you're at. And Great Mother is saying that you need to remember it's important for you to own your intuition, own your downloads, because that's what's gotten you to this point of understanding, as well as your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole, to hold on to both of those, to hold on to your divinity, the awareness that you are a dearly loved child of the Great Mother, Father, God, who's never judged, condemned, or left alone. It's important that you hold on to that at this crossroads so that you can own your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole moving forward. That is what you will attract. In the recent past, you've learned the law of Divine Father. The law of Divine Father is double yin energy. This is seventh chakra energy. This is third quarter moon energy of release and letting go of any and everything that doesn't serve that imaginative, visualizing, manifesting capability that you have as a divine child. That's that space of creation that is truly meant by us being created in the image of Great Mother, Father, God, that we do create our lives from that space. And so you've learned that. You've had some powerful experiences with that in the recent past with this second chakra energy. Second chakra is ruled by Jupiter, which rules Sagittarius. So this eighth house energy for you is very important. The eighth house is death and rebirth, but it's also what you receive from others. There's an inheritance that you're receiving with this mama drama trauma. That's not the toxic part, but the blessing as a result of having lived through that, of having worked through that. You're receiving a blessing. In the recent past, if you haven't already received it, you are receiving it as a result of letting go of so much toxicity. And you've learned that. You've learned that you have creative powers as a result of your healing work. In other words, you created, through the assistance of your angels, guides, and ancestors, a healed body, mind. You're still on the path, but you're nowhere where you were before. You're doing a dance. This is heart chakra energy, Sheila Nagig. You're doing a dance, the broken heart, open-hearted dance. And this dance is, I know I've learned I need to open my heart in order to receive, in order to heal. But it's so painful to do that when I don't know what to expect after having opened my heart and being hurt so many times. It's that kind of dance that you're doing. It's that kind of dance where you are In awareness, as Great Mother is saying, this full moon is so important for all of us to distinguish between self-judgment, condemnation, and self-awareness. When we are pinpointing areas of growth, or we're pinpointing areas of our birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole, and we feel that maybe we're not living up to it, or we feel that we're not experiencing it for whatever reason, the tendency, because of the MDT conditioning, to fall back into shame, blame, and guilt can be so strong that we don't open our hearts to maybe what the opportunities or the invitation is in the moment. And you're doing that dance, you know that. And so you are willing to open your heart, but at the same time it's like, but does this situation deserve that? Does this new association or this new affiliation with this group, are they worthy of my trust? That kind of dance. And the angels are helping you with that. And you know it. You know that the angels are helping you with that. They're helping you to live in loving detachment. And loving detachment from what is. And we don't have all the information about what is. We're just living our lives, and we're doing well enough to focus enough on ourselves to learn as much as we can about ourselves. And so it's an unrealistic expectation that we would have all of the information that we would need about everyone to make, quote unquote, the best decision for us, because we're always growing ourselves. Relationships that we might have or we might choose to have now are very different, obviously, than those that we would have chosen just a year ago, or when some of you began this journey, with Great Mother, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So we're always growing. So it's not about, quote unquote, knowing everything or having all the information. It's about living in loving detachment. This is what really allows us to heal from MDT. This is the attitude. This is the practice. Loving detachment is accepting what is. It is accepting the mother that we have for who she is. She has MDT. She's unwilling. She's unable. She's unavailable, whether she's transitioned or she's in her own practice of distraction and avoidance and denial, minimizing, justifying, MDT behavior. Whatever it is, it is. And we live in loving detachment by simply accepting it and loving the fact that we have had an opportunity to grow and to survive such a difficult thing, that we get to be an example that you can live beyond MDT. It doesn't have to take you down. What a blessing to be a living example of that for others. You know what a blessing that is? Not just for yourself, but for the planet. Do you have any idea the generations that you bless by healing yourself, Taurus moon sign people? Beautiful. You have another heart chakra card here. This has to do with where you are now, Coventina. You are in this space of purification, of cleansing your spirit, cleansing your soul, cleansing yourself of what has happened in the past in order to move forward with love, in order to do your dance gracefully and not in a way that is emotionally or spiritually disruptive, creating drama in your life. So that open-heartedness that the angels are helping you to live in loving detachment from the fears, the past fears of being open by living in loving detachment is a purification process that allows more love to come to you as you open up to it. Now, letting go, Baba Yaga, in the position of what needs to be let go, is new moon 5th chakra energy. The 5th chakra is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. We're going to be going into the Virgo new moon, the next new moon that we have coming up here in a couple of weeks. And so between now and then, it looks like you're really going to be letting go of any self-judgment around being too wild or living outside the box, making a decision to be more self-aware or more open-hearted in ways that you haven't in the past. Just really going there with your purification journey, with your practice of loving detachment, just really getting wild with it in ways that Taurus moon sign doesn't tend to do. But the energies that are active right now are supporting it. Gemini is about to move into Rahu in Gemini is about to move from Purnavasu Nakshatra into Ardra, which is going to be a very disruptive energy in the collective unconscious on the planet. Not that we don't have enough disruptive energy going on, but if you haven't noticed, we're in a very Shiva-like period of chaos and destruction, which is an important phase of creation, of rebirth and regeneration. And so we're in that phase right now, and Baba Yaga energy is a precursor to ultimate destruction. And so there's an ultimate destruction of the past fixation on how you relate to people and associate, that is going to go under tremendous transformation. And you're here for it, because in your center card, Gildeptus, that's third eye energy, full moon third eye energy, no less. That's very synergistic. So you're working with these energies. You're here for it. You're ready. You're ready for the change. And maybe some of you have been wondering, how am I going to make this transition? I know I'm at this place, or I'm still at this place where I'm feeling this way, but intuitively, I'm really sensing that I need to really grow. I need to really expand. I really need to open my heart. I really need to be more self-compassionate and purify certain areas so that I can let others come in to be a part of my work life. So I can emotionally let others in to be a part of my love life, so that I can let, my children in or my relatives in ways that I haven't in the past, because I've been so wounded with MDT. But how am I going to do it? These celestial energies are supporting you, including Ardra Nakshatra and Jupiter. Ardra is Rahu, Gemini energy, but Ketu, South Node energy, is ruled by Jupiter, which is moving from Scorpio into Sagittarius, your 8th house, November 3rd. So you have lots and lots of energy supporting you, as there's a lot going on already in Sagittarius in terms of release. So Jupiter is just going to expand that. Very excited, because the hidden influence that you may not be aware of is Tara. You are, through all of this, going to be centering body, mind, and soul. So if you're noticing some erratic shifts dietarily or physically with your day-to-day activity, or with your meditation off and on, or you've been taking a long break, or you've been sleeping longer than usual, or not sleeping at all, or just kind of feeling like you're vegging out more, or out of touch, or a little too anxious, or going back to old addictive patterns that you thought you would let go. You're undergoing a rebalancing, body, mind, and spirit, and all of those things are going to be released. Just continue that inner work and support and prayer and intuitive dialogue with your angels, guides, and ancestors. They're helping you to live in loving detachment, Taurus moon sign people. They are supporting you right now. And so just keep the dialogue. That's what's happening. That's what you're doing. And that's what it looks like. Okay, and so it just looks like, okay, now what's really going on here? But if you notice, emotionally, with Tara energy, it's very peaceful, despite what the mind may be saying, what the emotional kind of triggers may be going off about these things. They're not taking you into tailspins anymore. It may kind of feel like, wait a second, isn't it a tailspin if I go back to some addictive behaviors, or if I do? Well, yes, And it has been in the past. But remember, in your past position is the law of divine father. And so you have learned to work on your deep downloads. You have learned to receive very deep downloads. And so that's why you're at peace about it. You know, if it was something that, was really, really problematic, you wouldn't be at peace. And yes, there may be a little, kind of a buzz of anxiety there, but it's nothing like the tremendous sense of imbalance from before that would have you're on edge. It's like the last remnants of just cleaning out something, and you still have a lot of dirt, you still have a lot of dust, but it's the last bit, and once you get that out, it's all gone. But you thought, you had done a big sweep, but it's still a little bit over there in the corner, and it still needs to go out. It's that. The majority of the cleansing has taken place, but there's still some to do, and that's what you're doing. That's what's happening. That's what's being cleansed right now. So that's awesome, because the advice from Great Mother is Ishtar. Don't stop now. You've come too far to go back now. This is second chakra full moon energy. This is all about not selling yourself out. So I don't think that is the issue for most of you. The issue with the prostitute card, that the advice you have coming through is to stand by your highest value, to stand up for yourself in terms of not so much in defending yourself, but in terms of holding your ground. Just holding your ground. You've earned it. You've earned being at where you are in your life right now, in terms of your understanding, in terms of your experience, your wisdom, your insight, what you know about yourself, and where you want to be and where you want to go. And you know what that next step is in getting that last little bit out. You know where to sweep it to. You know where the dustpan it needs to go, outside into the trash, into the bag. You don't have any more questions about, okay, so what's next? It's just that you need a little help, you're a little tired, there's a little exhaustion, and that's where the angels are helping you. Just live in loving detachment from those judgments about it. You don't have to, in that sense, sell yourself out. Don't self-abandon at this point. Stand up for yourself. Stand in support of yourself. That is Great Mother's advice to you, because you're going to need to uphold your desires with this second chakra card of self-inquiry, following up the second chakra card of Ishtar, the prostitute. You're going to need to stand up for yourself and to own your value in a way that is moment by moment validating what is true for you, as opposed to what may be true for someone else, what may be true for, the new group, the association that you're with, the networks or whatever. You're going to really need a practice of just taking things through that filter of your self-value, of your experience. And it's not in a combative way. It's not in a way that you are in a constant state of opposition. It has nothing to do with that. It's about you really grounding your desires in the world. You coming from that imaginative space that has been so healing, and that is continuing to heal you, and that is supporting you through your internal dialogue with your angels, guides, and ancestors, and taking that into the world and manifesting what you desire in the world. And now that you have the advantage of wisdom and experience from healing MDT, and those of you who are just beginning to heal mama drama trauma, you will also be gaining experience. You want the practice of asking yourself, is it true, to be very central in your life. And self-inquiry is all about painful thoughts, self-judgment, condemnation that Great Mother's bringing up, being aware of the difference between that and self-awareness. Self-awareness is not about continuing to practice, obviously, MDT, shame, blame, and guilt. It's about releasing and grieving that That's what the Aspire 6 steps of the deck, the 6 suits, are about. Acknowledgement, self-inquiry, processing, integrity, rebirth, and emancipation. That's the release process. And what are you releasing? The mother that you want in order to accept the one that you have. And when we do that, what we're doing is we're embracing divinity identity. Our identity as being dearly loved children of the great Mother, Father, God, who were never judged, condemned, or left alone. That's what we're doing. And so any situation, any pain thought, any self-critical situation that is making us, quote unquote, feel unloved, judged, condemned, or left alone, is something that we want to hold up to the light of validation. Is it true that this situation, this person has the power to make me feel unloved? Just because they're having a bad day or they're feeling a certain way about something, is that really affecting whether or not I am loved by the cosmos? Is that really what's going on here? Stopping ourselves, getting clear about what's really going on from that powerful space of divinity is the practice. And so her advice is to use these celestial energies that are supporting such death and rebirth and chaotic creative processing in Sagittarius for you, to ground yourself in standing up for yourself so that this practice of self-inquiry can become more second nature. And you will do that by embodying, in the position of embodiment is the Sphinx card, 5th chakra energy, first quarter energy. Is all about making the decision to face the challenge, facing the challenge of moving on from the past in a way that now you're not so much triggered by it, but you have a whole different perspective of it. You're no longer triggered by the behaviors, because the behaviors don't change. There's a reason that we say, in order to heal mama drama trauma, we have to be ready, willing, and able, because we're dealing with a planetary disorder. Most people have mama drama trauma, and most people are in denial about it. So we live in a world of people who are in denial. And so we're triggered by this denial until we do our healing work. And once you do the healing work, we still have to deal with people who have MDT. So when the triggers subside, which they do, through a practice of self-inquiry, through validating each and every thought, each and every attitude, each and every energy that we deal with on a daily basis. Is it true that I'm condemned because this person is tripping? Is it true that I'm lonely just because these people don't want to be around me because my energy is too bright, because I'm really working on this validity? Is it true? And getting straight with ourselves, that's how we change our perspective of it. That's facing the challenge. And so Great Mother is saying, embody this process by doing that. And sometimes it might seem overwhelming, but this is the purification process. That's why you have the angel card here in your spread. When you are tired, as many of you are, as indicated here, at this crossroads of personal power and your shadow position, not realizing that you're coming to this place of personal power because you might be a little tired of all this processing and purification work. Remember your angels. Ask your angels, your guides and your ancestors. Just say, I just need help right now. I just need help. I'm just really doing great right now, just to kind of, take a breather and be in my right mind. I'm really not in a place to do a lot of self-inquiry work right now. Just let me just feel peace come over me about the situation. I know that it's an illusion. I know that, this isn't true, but this is really, kind of upsetting me right now. And I just need to hold on to my divinity. Just help me hold on to my divinity. And that is enough. That is enough. Just as long as, each time that, we're sweeping a little bit more out, so it eventually all be gone. And the possible outcome is the law of ego form and manifestation. This is 6th chakra energy. This is third eye energy. This is working with those intuitive downloads by acting on them. So this is the actual release. This is the actual letting go, the grieving process of that intuitive mind that does just what Great Mother said, is when the intuitive unction is one that says, it's time for me to do purification work in this toxic situation, or because of this toxic thought, and it's time for me to change what I'm thinking about this feeling. But the body mind says, I'm tired. That's the action. Recognizing that the body mind is tired and saying, angels, the body mind is tired. Can we table this for a moment? I know this needs to be worked on, but I'm about to go to sleep. Can we work on it in the dream state? Or I'm about to do such and such, can we work on it in meditation? That kind of thing. Being creative in that energy of manifestation, because you have a lot of support, again, in your 8th house. You have a lot of support in terms of working with the energy of others. Okay, and you want to do that in a positive and a lovingly detached way, not in a controlling way, but in a way that you are able to transform your emotional, spiritual space through self-awareness. The long-term future as a result of doing this, there's an arc that is your 3rd law card of mystery and divine order to spirituality and self-love. This is root chakra yang energy. This is the recreation. This is the rebirth card. The yang card is the semen of creation. So this great father energy, you are becoming anew as a result of honoring the MDT soul contract to evolve in self-love and spiritual independence. This is the arc to that. And each step of the way, you're doing that. Each time you're sweeping out more and more toxicity, you're doing that. Each time you're acting on your intuition, you're doing that. Each time you're expanding your heart space, you're doing that. Each time you are asking or you're listening and responding to angelic and guidance that you're receiving, that support, you're doing that. Each time you acknowledge your personal power, your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole, you're doing that. Each time you engage the process of self-inquiry to validate whether or not something is worthy to be in your space, you're doing that. Each time you're getting the facts instead of being controlled by emotions, and you are actually taking charge of what you think about your feelings, you're doing that. You're doing that. And as you do that, your outcome will be your authentic self manifested. 5th chakra full moon energy of Brigade, the fire of inspiration. You will be the fire of creative unction that inspires that creativity in other souls. You will be. And that is the energy that this Gemini North Node is for you in your 2nd emotional house. This house in your moon yogas is the energy of how you process your emotions. So this practice of taking charge of what you think about how you feel is a process that is going to evolve your emotional process of how you do relationship with the world. And the world will reflect to you your authentic self. This is a beautiful message from Great Mother for you, Taurus moon sign people. 5th chakra is ruled by Mercury, which rules Gemini. That 2nd house energy, your values, your beliefs, all of that is transforming now and going into the space of more and more purification, is rendering an authenticity in you that will serve you in your life beyond MDT. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, and liking. I really hope this was something that gave you clarity that you needed at this time. But above all and most of all, remember always, Great Mother loves you, and I do too.
Great Mother speaks. I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space.